right, everybody. Welcome to the Touch of Gaming, episode number 117. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison. And joining me, Jared Schultz. Jared, how's it going, my friend?
Going well. So do you use that little pause to build the anticipation of who's joining you?
I do.
Who's joining me this week?
And because if I said, and joining me, Jared Schultz, and then you start saying, hey, how's it going? Bang! Would be what would happen with the music. So I kind of wait for that big sound to go away, and then I introduce you. It's kind of
the music helps you build the anticipation.
That's true. Except if you're joining us live at vgpodcast.com/live, then you could have seen Jared's face before he was announced.
Yeah. Plus, it's been me for the last 20 episodes or something. Who knows?
That's true. We should change things up, Jared.
All right.
Maybe next week, maybe I'll have someone else on the show instead of you. How does that sound?
Fine. Be that way.
Just kidding. Well, actually, we're not kidding. We're actually Jared's not going to be able to do the episode next week, so we had just scrambled to find a replacement host. So that was actually kind of handy. That would have been funny if we didn't tell people, and they're like, "Holy crap! He was really pissed off at Jared. He just didn't invite him back for the next episode. What's happening?" That would have been amazing.
So, how you doing, Lloyd?
I'm doing awesome. A couple big days of news announcements.
Seriously.
The first, I guess the biggest is, there was this little Apple announcement where they announced this new device called an iPhone 5 and updated iPod touches and things like that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That was pretty cool. And then earlier today, Nintendo had an announcement where they announced the new Wii U and the release date and the price point and all that fun stuff. So it's a great time for tech geeks out there. There's a lot of really awesome stuff to talk about.
Yeah, and it's not ending either. It seems like every week during the month of September there's some big press announcement, and then you have to figure out whether or not you care.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you had the Amazon announcements with the 853 Kindles that they announced as new products that were going to be coming out. And there's been Nokia phones where they did stupid things show actual video and images from the device, and then they were found out later that they weren't actual videos and images from the device. They were from a high-end digital SLR and things like that. So it's been interesting. There's been lots of news to talk about. It's been really good.
Yeah,
really, really good.
Interesting time.
Yeah. How about you? How you been?
I'm doing really well. Just not too much new. I mean, been busy.
Busy's good. Busy's really good. All right, well, let's I don't have any announcements this week, so what do you say we get into the normal part of the show?
Oh, I have my quick announcement though.
Oh, what's your quick announcement?
I didn't put it in the show notes. I so apologize. So Extra Life, just wanted to give it a shout out again. It's coming up October 20th. We did actually form our team. So if you want to join us, we usually try and coordinate. But it's the 24-hour gaming marathon for charity, extra-life.org. If you want to join our team is the Starmen, and bonus points if you get the game reference. Lloyd? Huh?
Starman, Mario. When you get the star.
No. Earthbound.
Earthbound. I was gonna say Earthbound. I was just joking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You beat me to it. I was gonna say a bunch of other games that had stars in it before, but you ruined it. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah. Earthbound. So it's we're the Starmen. If you want to join us, feel free. And if not, you can go and there is a post in the forums that you can go see my page if you're interested in perhaps donating or playing along with us. So yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Extra Life, 24-hour gaming fun for charity. It's always a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to join you, Jared. I think maybe I'll play along with you. I'll play in tandem. You play a game and I'll play a game on the other side of Skype or something. That'd be fun.
Yeah, can you imagine how many an asynchronous game if you were playing it continuously or something like that for a while?
You can play Ticket to Ride for 24 hours straight. That wouldn't be boring and insane at all.
No, you'd get really sick of that game though.
Big time.
But it is free right now.
That's true. That is. Hey, we didn't put that in the updates. I'll have to do that. Ticket to Ride. Well, actually, by the time that we're posting this, it'll probably won't be free.
Yeah, they said it was on for 5 days, so if you post it fast.
Good stuff. All right, so Jared, what you been playing, man?
Sorry. I've been playing Drake Rider. So Drake Rider was the one that we talked about last week. Found out that it was actually only published by Square Enix. It wasn't actually developed by Square Enix, which is, not too super surprising. They are starting to now lend their name to other people, and apparently, if they lend their name to you, then you have to charge an outrageous amount for your game. So let me give you a little bit. Did you play it at all, Lloyd?
I downloaded it. I played the Let's Free Up Some Space on my iPad game, but I haven't actually played the game itself.
Oh yeah. So this game is huge. First of all, it's like installed. It's over a gig. They basically are giving you the entire game, which is probably like a 20-hour experience. So basically, you are kind of the angsty teen, and you go and you rescue this girl who turns out to give you something so that you can control this dragon. And first of all, this girl's kind of like awkward. You feel like she's like scantily clad, and she looks to be like super underage. So you just feel like dirty, and it's just not a good experience. So then you get control of this dragon, and apparently there's only one dragon, and different people control it whenever these bad demons come along among the world. And you are the one that does it this time. And the dragon, it's a really simple control mechanic. So when you're in a fight, you're basically just controlling how many chains are around the dragon. So the dragon is not a willing participant with you as the dragon rider. He's not real happy about it, which, I mean, I guess I could understand that point of view. So you're flying around and you're trying to beat these bad guys. However, like I said, the control is completely automated. You have the chains that you can slide back and forth, and if you put more chain on him, then he'll do more like defensive moves, like guarding and healing. And then if you let him go further out, then he'll do more offensive moves and try to attack people. So that's probably my first complaint, is the combat is boring. And when it comes to these types of RPG games, that's kind of key. It's really critical that you have a combat that makes it interesting, and this just didn't have it. So the other thing is it's extremely linear. So you keep getting like dropped into dungeons, and sometimes there's like 1 second branching path, but you go one screen away, you pick up the treasure, and then you go back and you have to go back on the same path that you're on. And then finally, there's near the end. So I played through the free part, and I kind of decided I'm not going to pay the rest of it. You really have to grind, or else you just get wasted every single time you try and play the big boss at the end. And I didn't really feel like grinding when I wasn't enjoying the combat. And so, yeah, that's, I guess, kind of a mini review of Drake Rider.
How much is it to unlock, by the way?
$20.99.
Yikes.
So you can do it by chapter, and then there's 4 chapters at $7 a piece, so that would be $28. Or you can save $7 and unlock it all at once for $21.
Wow.
So I just, I wasn't willing to pay that $7 to keep playing, or the $21 to finish the game, because like I said, I found the combat to be really boring. However, it is free, so if you're interested, it might be worth checking out. But I personally probably played it for longer than I was interested, because I wanted to be able to talk about it. So yeah, that's a mini review of Drake Rider. It's free to try, but if you want to play the whole thing, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So, especially compared to everything else on the App Store, you probably have better uses of your time and games that are more fun and engaging. So next, I have been playing Little Masters. So I was really excited for Little Masters.
Yes, we talked about it but while we were waiting to record the show, we're like, oh, that's coming out. We can't wait. This is going to be awesome. And it isn't really.
No, it's terrible. It's one of the worst pieces of garbage I have played in a very long time, and that's saying something. So the here's the thing. It looks exactly like Pokemon. It you can tell that they took a lot of cues from Pokemon. Your characters look like it. However, right after you start the game, it's like, oh, look, you got an egg of this monster. And then it's like, oh, this monster is too weak to go out and explore. Let's send out hunters to go get guys for this monster to fight.
Taking all the fun out of Pokemon.
All the exploration and storyline are pretty much gone. The things that make Pokemon interesting. And yeah, so then not only that, they're all like freemium based. So one specific hunter will take like 7 minutes to get, the higher level of monster for you to fight. And I tried really hard to play through this and see how far I could get. I seriously got like 7 or 8 monsters and I was done. Like I just, and Lloyd and I then proceeded to bash it on Twitter like sometimes we do. Um, Talking to each other. So if you ever follow both of us, sometimes you get entertaining conversations going between us. But I was just really hoping for a good Pokemon clone, and this is not it. So don't even bother downloading it. It's a waste of your space. So then I've been playing Galaxy on Fire 2, space exploration game. I don't really need to say a lot about it because it's really, really old. I don't know, year and a half or something that it came out. And I got it on some sale and I really wanted to play it and I never got around to it. So because this week was a little slow for games, I have been playing that and it's good. So I also heard that they're getting close to a new expansion, like new expansion pack to it. So I thought that would be a good time to pick it up. And so I was ready for that new expansion pack. And then I've been playing Guardian Cross. So Guardian Cross is a freemium game by Square Enix, who I don't know what's going on. They now have like 4 weeks in a row with them releasing a game. However, this one is a card battler where you end up catching catching monsters from the previous Final Fantasy games, and then you end up battling people, and it's very much in that card battler and very I don't know. And there's like a little hunting mini game. I haven't gotten really far into it, so I might just have to talk about that one later. And yeah, and then Middle Manager of Justice a little bit too, which was kind of funny because it released and then they're like, oh, it wasn't supposed to release, and so then they took it off the App Store. But Lloyd and I already have it, and we've been playing it a little bit. So you basically are running a agency for superheroes in it, and it's interesting. So.
Yeah, it's funny. It's the art style and everything. It looks kind of interesting. It's kind of funny, or at least it tries to be kind of funny. But yeah, it's decent. You can definitely see that it is kind of beta. There's a lot of bugs and weird things that happen. But I was kind of happy that they leaked it to the App Store because I was happy to pick it up.
Yeah, and so I mean, all the comic humor in it is very Double Fine, And I actually went and bought one of the in-app purchases because it's really cool. They have the my favorite type of in-app purchase that just doubles all the money you get from then on after, kind of like Duckers did, which I really think is a good way to do it. Then it's like, hey, I'm able to play these and then it doesn't feel quite as freemium and I don't feel so constrained for money, but yet I was able to, I feel like it's the full unlock is actually paying for it, that $1 or $2 that they want for the doubling it. So yeah, it's interesting and I can't wait to see it updated and improved. So yeah, what have you been playing, Lloyd?
All right, what have I been playing? Probably the main game that has been taking a lot of my time is a game that you usually die anywhere between 3 and 15 seconds after starting it, and that is Super Hexagon. So I'll be reviewing that one later in the show. It is maddeningly crazy, hard, difficult, but awesome at the same time. So we'll get to that when I get into my review. I've also been playing a game called Versus Racing 2. which I'm also reviewing this week because it is awesome, and I'll be talking about that in a little bit. But I've been playing some games that I'm not going to be reviewing this week, and the first one would be a game called Little Conquest that just came out. It's $2.99 on the App Store, and it's supposed to be an RTS, so a real-time strategy game. But it's supposed to be a real-time strategy game where the levels are done in a minute or two, which I like the idea of it. When I started playing it, it basically just feels like Galcon. I know you've played Galcon, Jared, but basically what that game is, you were basically planets filled with fighters, and you would tap one planet that you own and then a planet you don't own, and you would send half of your fighters over to that planet to try to take it over. If you had more fighters heading to that planet than that planet had fighters guarding it, you would win that planet, and then each couple seconds the planets would regenerate fighters, and that's how you'd build your force and then amass a big battle army to then go kill everything else. Little Conquest is just like that, except with towns and guys with swords and Trojan horses and things like that. Not what I thought it was. When I saw the screenshots, I thought it would be something really, really awesome. It's very, very rough around the edges, like to the point where fonts and everything just don't kind of look proper. The interface is just like gray squares with text on them. Definitely needs a lot more work and polish to make it look decent, but it's fun. My one big I guess complaint about this game is, say if you have like a little village that will generate up to 8 guys. In games like Galcon, you could keep sending more guys to that planet, and you would then amass a larger force, because all those enemies that you send to it, or all those fighters that you would send to it, would keep adding up to your total. That doesn't happen in this game, so I've wasted probably 1 million guys just by sending more guys to a settlement than were needed, and they reach the settlement, but it doesn't increase the amount of people that are in the settlement. So it makes some of the levels really difficult. But anyway, it's interesting. I'm not disappointed that I picked it up, but it's kind of not exactly what I wanted. And also, after last episode talking about all the great games, I picked up Wild Blood, which is the Game Loft $8 a God of War hack and slash set in like the Knights of the Round Table kind of era. It looks pretty in some areas. Other areas, it looks like every other Game Loft engine. Like, they really need to have some, I don't know, they really need to have some developer or some artists that can make models that actually don't look like cubes talking to other cubes. Like, it's using the Unreal Engine, so you'd think it would be beautiful, but it's not. So anyway, it's God of War, except kind of janky. You go from one small area to another small area, even though it looks like the worlds are wide open. It's level based, so you beat a level and then you get scored on that level and then you go on to another one. So anyway, it's interesting. I've gotten to level 3, so not even close to even halfway through the game, and it's kind of I'm not super hot on it, so we'll see. I'm going to give it a little bit more time to kind of wow me, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I was really looking forward to more from Wild Blood, especially for $8. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be that for me right now. So
You're trying to resist that game?
I was, and then I got bored one evening. Like, I couldn't sleep, and I'm like, oh, I need to do something. Like, I'm looking at my iPad. I got all these old games that I really should be beating, but hey, look, new shiny, and I went and downloaded this game. So yeah, I'm my own worst enemy sometimes when it comes to games. And
it happens.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. I'm gonna give it a little bit more time, maybe, before kind of deleting it, since I did pay full price for it. But yeah, I don't know, not super awesome, and I was hoping it would be super awesome, especially since it was the much hyped Gameloft game that was using the Unreal Engine, and it just looks like every other like Gameloft game, like every other game that uses their ingrown homemade engine. I don't know why they spent the money like licensing this out from Epic, but anyway, that's Wild Blood. I'll give it another try over the next week or so, and we'll see if I can maybe spend some more time with it and see if it's something that I'll like. But as of right now, I'm not super excited about it. So yeah, that's about it, man. Yeah, lots of fun. Super Hexagon is kicking my butt, and that's pretty much been what I've been playing the most. Actually, no, that's not true. I've been playing Puzzlecraft again. I can't not stay away from that game. So you know how I said that it deleted my game,
Yeah.
and then I went back to it and I built it up again, and then they came out with a patch, and then I couldn't get back into my game because the patch wasn't allowing me to get into my game. I played it again, and I actually got to the point where I built a castle again. So I've beaten the game again. I gave it a third try, and I just love the game. It's so much fun, and I just keep playing and playing and playing. I'm gonna have like thousands of every single thing in the game. So when they come out with a patch, I'll be able to buy everything before I even like have fun playing the game again. I'll buy every new building and every new thing, and then it'll be like, okay, well, I guess I'll play more Puzzlecraft stuff. Tadias is giving me a hard time in the forum saying there's new Puzzlecraft drama every week, and it's true. It's one of those games that I just love, but it had so many problems to begin with. But anyway, that's been what I've been spending a lot of my time on as well. That
I actually picked it back up too after it did the same thing to me, and I haven't gotten the castle, so I haven't quite got that far, but I'll sit and play a board or two every once in a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun game for $1. I mean, definitely got my play out of it. I've beat it multiple times, not through my own really wanting to beat it a couple times, but there you go.
And it sounds like they're working on new stuff, so hopefully that'll start coming out soon, and then we can all go back to it and be addicted again.
Awesome. I can't wait. All right, moving on. Let's get into notable releases. First updates. The biggest update that came out that we wanted to talk about is the game Run Roo Run, which is kind of a speed run platformer where you basically had to make a perfect run through a level. It went from, I think, $1.99 down to free. It's universal, so it works on both your iPhone and iPad. So if you haven't picked this one up already, definitely check it out. It's I had a lot of fun when this game first came out. I know we reviewed it, I don't know, in the ToG in the 70s or something. It's been out for a while, but it's so much fun. So do check that one out. And
Agreed.
You liked it too, right, Jared?
Yes, I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And then new releases for this week, Field Runners 2 HD was finally released. So that's the iPad version of Field Runners 2. It's $8, so they're not giving it away, especially after charging like what, $4 for the original version for iPhone of Field Runners 2. I think it was $3.99. So what they've done with this one is not made it universal, so you can't just buy this one and then have both the iPhone and the iPad version, which kind of really sucks. But they've taken Field Runners 2 for the iPhone. They've added a couple new towers. They've added a in-game commentary track, so you can listen to developers talk about the game. I haven't unlocked that yet, so I don't know whereabouts you unlock that, but that's there. And they've also added in iCloud support. So eventually, iCloud support will be able to bring your iPhone save over to your iPad. Currently, right now, that doesn't work from my understanding. So all my progress that I made on the iPhone, I won't be able to bring over to the iPad. Although I do much prefer playing on the iPad. I mean, some of the levels you're sitting there playing for 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. And for me, it's more comfortable playing on the bigger screen. It's updated for the iPad, the new iPad with its huge Retina screen, and it looks beautiful. Like, there's super details on all these models that they use, so it is a lot of fun. I don't know, to you, if you've already played on the iPhone, I don't know if spending another $8 is worth it, unless you want the bigger graphics, you want the bigger play area to play on, and some of the stuff that they've added to it, which again is really a couple more levels and a couple more towers, so nothing super breakthrough. But anyway, that's Field Runners 2. We just added an update to the show notes. I guess Tadias in the chat room let us know that Swordigo was updated to a new version, which they've added external arcade controller support, so Icade support, which is awesome. So I will get back into that game and play it on my Icade, because I love Icade.
Yeah, that was the one. It's kind of a Zelda type game.
Yeah.
It's like a 2D Zelda, but like I was getting ready to review it, and then you had all the crazy computer issues in April. Right. And so I never actually reviewed it. It was a good game though.
It's kind of like a Metroidvania too, where you can get to certain areas and then you can't get past them, but then you get an item that unlocks like flames or whatever, and then you can burn through the brambles or whatever the things that they're using to block your progress. It was a lot of fun. I remember playing a fair bit of it when it first came out, and then it kind of got lost in the shuffle. I'm definitely going to get back into it now that it has Icade support, because everything's better with Icade.
External arcades controller support. Do we know if that's the Icade or not?
I'm assuming, because when you look on the Icade developer FAQ, that they tell you to put that in your show notes, to not use Icade because it's their trademark, but use external arcade control. But most people put Icade in anyway. They don't listen to the Icade folks. So I would assume it's Icade. I haven't tried it, obviously, but I will, and I'll let you know.
Let us know on that. Can you, Lid?
I will. New games, other new games. I toked or spocked is what I was going to say. So apparently I can't talk today. I spoke earlier about Little Conquest. It's $2.99. It's that RTS, which is kind of okay. I don't know. We'll see if it gets better with some updates. An interesting game. Did you know Bethesda is making iPad games now?
What?
Yeah, they released a great title. It's called Dishonored Rat Assassin, and it's free. And it is Fruit Ninja with rats, and it's kind of an advert game for their title Dishonored, which is coming out, I believe, in October. So if you want to slice rats into little pieces and get a lot of free achievements, you can do that with Dishonored Rat Assassin for free from Bethesda.
Wait a minute. Are you assassinating rats, or are you a rat assassin assassinating something else?
You are a rat assassin. You are assassinating rats. You're chopping up rats with your sword. And it's an advert game for Dishonored, because some of the attacks that you use in Dishonored are like big, like huge piles of rats that you trick people into going into, and then they get eaten by the rats. So I guess rats play a big thing in the fiction. So yeah, you are throwing rats up in the air and then chopping them up and getting points for doing so. It's not very good, but it's free, and there's free gamer score if you wanna play for achievements. You can do that too, which I did, and I will continue to do. All right, guys, that's enough for releases. Let's get into the news. I guess the biggest thing is Apple had their announcement of iPhone 5. So iPhone 5 is bigger. It's taller. It has one more row of icons. So it's one row taller than the iPhone 4. It's thinner and lighter. They say it's 20% lighter, even though it's bigger. They've done that by changing the way that they designed the unit itself. They've basically made it so I think 240 parts they quoted fit together with almost like zero wiggle room between them. So it's machined about as precise as you possibly can, which is pretty amazing. It has a really awesome camera. They've updated the camera from the iPhone 4S, which already is a really good camera. It has better low level support all the way down to ISO 50. So that's pretty decent. It has a better focal length too, where it'll take I guess a little bit wider photos than the last one, and it can see pretty much every color that anything can see. It has a bunch of filters inside, which can display a lot more, or can capture a lot more colors than the previous lens or the previous CCD that they had in their phone. So, pretty amazing camera, which to me would be enough to upgrade. They have a new A6 chip inside the phone, which is probably as fast as the new iPad, which is pretty awesome because I mean, the new iPad is pretty damn quick. So they say it's twice as fast and twice as graphically fast than the iPhone 4S. Of course, their 2x promises usually are about 1.3x. So it'll be a little bit faster. And that's about it. With the new screen, it's widescreen. It's full 16:9 widescreen, which is pretty cool. So you can display videos in full true 16:9, and app developers can also display their apps in 16:9. What it does now is if the app supports the new resolution, it displays wider. If it doesn't, it kind of centers it in the middle of your phone and has black bars on the top and the bottom. So all your apps will still work. Developers don't have to do anything, but if they take some time, they can re-engineer the app to look better on your device. What else? LTE, that's built in as well. which is a big thing if you live in an area that is LTE, which I don't. Anything else, Jared, that I missed? It's a pretty interesting device. It's not, I mean, it's a device that we saw 6 months ago. So I think it would have wowed a lot more people if all those leaks hadn't happened from the factories.
Yeah, I think this one's kind of funny because I don't think there was anything that was like, oh, really? You know, like there's no surprises almost at all.
Yeah,
At least on the iPhone.
exactly. It also uses a new dock port. So instead of the 30-pin connector or 32-pin connector, it uses an 8 or 9-pin. I guess the ninth pin is a ground, which they're calling Lightning. So they have Thunderbolt and Lightning. And I could play Bohemian Rhapsody right here, but I won't because the joke's been made. But yeah, so it's apparently a faster port, and the nice thing about it is it's unidirectional, or it's bidirectional rather. So you can put it into your device any way. It'll work, so you don't have to fumble with your dock cable. Now you try to put it in, and then it doesn't work, and you turn it upside down if you do it in the dark. This one will fit in either way, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's the iPhone 5. I really wish all those leaks hadn't happened because it seems like everybody in the tech industry is kind of giving it a big meh. It's okay, although it's much better than the 4S, and everybody loved the 4S. So I'm really kind of hyped to get it myself. Also,
yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I think that maybe that change of dock port, I think, might be a bigger issue than people realize.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people that have, $100, $200 in accessories, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have to rebuy these accessories if I get a new iPhone.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is they came out with an adapter. It's a $30 adapter, which you basically drop onto your normal 32-pin connector port. So if you have a clock radio, you can drop it in there, and then your iPhone can sit on top of that. I'm kind of worried about the sturdiness of that little tiny, like wafer thin, like popsicle stick holding up my phone, where like a device was designed to have the phone kind of sit in it. So I don't know how good that's going to be. They've also come up with a cable that gives you about, I guess, almost a foot of cable. I guess like 3/4 of a foot of cable and then connected with like the old connector and then the new connector. So even if you have a clock radio, you can kind of put your iPhone on the side of it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's change, which nobody likes. The good thing is it is supposed to be faster, so maybe that'll make syncing faster and everything like that, which is a good thing, because syncing like multiple gigs worth of content to your device, if you are doing it through a wire, can take a long time.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see, how people receive it. I think that is actually a pretty big change that, maybe they aren't realizing quite as much yet, and people aren't feeling the pain of yet. And I do understand, but they've got to just be printing money with the adapters. I mean, seriously, $30 for this little adapter, and then I'm
wondering if that adapter almost has a chip inside of it to do some DRM or something, because Apple is saying that they're not allowing, they don't want to allow third parties to create anything that has, or to create adapters or cables with this port. So maybe it's going to be like Thunderbolt that has chips inside of it, which can do something. Like you can't just put wires from and connectors. There's actually a chip that does some of the I/O control. Maybe it's a similar thing inside this. So the one thing that I like is that Apple they're one of the few companies that will actually release something that directly competes with something else that they have. They're quick to remove things that are no longer needed, or that they think is no longer needed. Like they got rid of USB drives when the iMac came out, and everybody's like, what the hell are they doing? They're crazy. Everybody loves floppy drives. And then like 2 years later, no one used floppies. And then they're doing the same thing with like optical media now, where you can't get any of their new like super thin devices don't have a DVD drive, and everybody's like, oh, that's crazy. But I haven't used a DVD for anything except I burned some when my grandma died. I made a funeral DVD, and that's like the first time that I've actually used the DVD drive in two of my machines. And it's like, I don't even know if these things work. I haven't used them in so many years. So I like that Apple is willing to make changes and kind of maybe burn some bridges to make things better. The port is thinner, so you can make thinner devices, and it's faster, which is a good thing. I also like the fact that you can just plug it in any way, which is huge for me because I plug my phone in the middle of the night, and I don't know, you have a 50-50 chance to plug it in right, and I would say 93% of the time I get it in wrong. I don't understand that. It's statistically, I can get it 1 out of every 2 times, but it's like 9 out of every 10 times I do it wrong, so I don't really understand. That's going to be huge for me, just so I don't have to like curse under my breath every time I go to bed.
Yeah, I think the other big change is that screen size thing. And you know, like every change, I think that it's good and it's the way things are going. But they said all apps will run on it. They'll just have like a bar like be framed underneath, so
Right.
you don't have to worry about all your apps not working anymore. However, the thing I'm going to be really watching is as new apps come out, are they going to be formatted for the widescreen, or are they going to be formatted for the other? And either
Yeah.
way, if they do both, that's going to be taking up more room on your device.
Yeah,
So
but potentially, like it depends how you build your app. Like if you build an app and you're using Interface Builder, it's just going to stretch it on itself. If you're making like an image as your app, so your whatever your thing, say if it's like a controller for a music device, some of those images will be bigger. The good thing is that if you design it properly, you wouldn't really have to use bigger images because a lot of the stuff will repeat or whatever. It'll be interesting. The thing that I like is that there doesn't seem to be any way for a developer to target just the new iPhone. When you like looking through some of the SDK stuff, there doesn't appear to be a way to just target the new iPhone. You can target an iPhone. So it doesn't mean, or to me, it's you're not going to have the same thing that happens with iPhone now, where there's the HD device that only supports, or HD version of an app that only supports Retina, and the regular version that supports all the other iPhones, and then an HD version of the iPad app, and just like ways that developers like try to trick you into buying multiple copies of their app. I'm kind of happy that way, that there doesn't appear to be any way to do that. Although I'm sure people will figure it out and try to charge you for multiple versions. Just ask the field runners guys.
yeah, so I think overall it'll be interesting to see, and I'm excited for it. I'm obviously I've not been an iPhone user, and I still probably won't be an iPhone user. But they did announce a new iPod Touch, which they haven't done for 2 years. Yeah. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sorry, I was just typing in the chat room. Yeah, the new iPod Touch looks really awesome. It's a little bit more expensive than the old one, because if you buy the $199 iPod Touch, you're actually buying the old one. The new iPod Touch is bigger. It's basically using the same screen as the iPhone 5, which is cool. It has the same camera built into it as the iPhone 4S, and it has an LED flash, which is great because that was the big thing that was missing from an iPod Touch. Other stuff, it has what is it, an iSight HD is what they're calling it, the 720p-ish camera on front for when you do FaceTime, which is kind of neat. It comes in many different fruity flavor colors. It has a pink version, a yellowy green, which Jared was calling snot colored version. There is a white version, a black version, which is kind of gray, and a light aqua blue version, which is kind of nice. What else? It uses the same processor as the new iPad by the looks of it, and it has something called the iPod Loop, which is this little button on the back of the device that you push in, and it pops up a little thing that you can attach a camera strap to. So it looks like they're really focusing camera buyers on this device. So instead of buying your next point and shoot, you're going to buy an iPod Touch and then get into the iOS ecosystem. A really nice thing about the camera as well is it uses I guess the glass that covers the camera lens is actually sapphire crystal. So it's not glass. So like on my iPhone right now, I got a scratch right across my lens. I don't know what I did to it. Maybe put it in my pocket with my keys or something, but I have a scratch across my lens, which is really annoying because it creates like a little bit of a blur in some of my images depending on light. This has sapphire crystal, which is super hard. It's going to be almost impossible to scratch unless you're like rubbing it with a diamond or something. That's really nice as well. And I said it uses the same camera guts as the iPhone 4S, but it uses the new like features that they've added to the camera with the iPhone 5. So it has the sapphire crystal cover. It has the wider I guess the focal point, or the I don't even know what to call it. It's not a 35 millimeter. It's something else. But anyway, my camera lingo is like stuck in my brain right now. I can't say it right now. It also has the low light sensitivity of the 4S, so it's better than what was in the old iPod Touch. Anyway, yeah, what else? I guess that's about it. One other neat thing is they announced new headphones as well. They have these in-ear headphones that aren't really in-ear headphones, and they come with all the new devices as well, and they're available for $30 separately. They look really cool, and everybody that's tried them that I've talked to has said that they're actually a huge change, and they're super comfortable compared to the old iPod earbuds, which have been around for like 10 years. So that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah, they just have the worst name ever. That's my only complaint.
You don't want to put EarPods into your ears?
Makes me think of like a bug laying eggs or something.
Yeah,
in my ear.
it's like I'm watching like Star Trek Wrath of Khan or something. They're putting an EarPod in my ear, and I'm going to scream out in pain. It's kind of bizarre, but I don't know. Huge change for the iPod Touch. I keep hearing a rumor that built into this device with the Wi-Fi chip is a GPS chip that uses GPS-A to get a fast fix on your GPS location, but you'll be able to actually geocode all the photos that you take. I don't see anything on Apple's website that are, I don't know, backing that up, but I've heard from multiple different locations that the maps use an actual GPS chip, that it's not the same one that was in the iPod Touch, where it would guesstimate based on Wi-Fi that was around.
Yeah, so I actually think on the new iPod Touch, I think I'm actually going to pick one up. You know, mine's 2 years old, and I think that it's going to be more comfortable for gaming, the longer screen, because I think then your thumbs don't cover up quite so much, like if there's a D-pad and buttons. So yeah. I think that on the gaming side, I think it's going to be really good. So I'm probably going to end up picking up a new iPod Touch, assuming I can find a home for my old one. And, you know, I think I'm ready for an upgrade. So
do you have any
I'm
drawers?
glad that they announced one.
Do you have any drawers in your house that you can put it in? That would be a good home for your old one.
No, usually I find someone, pass down the technology to the family that doesn't care.
If in doubt, just put it in a drawer. That's my motto.
Yeah, the only thing that might change my mind is if the one bad thing about the entire press conference was a lot of the stuff was coming out a little later than normal.
Yeah, this comes out at the end of October. Like, what the heck is that? That's crazy.
Yeah, so I think that, with all the rumors of the iPad mini, if that actually ends up happening, I may end up, well, I don't know. As more rumors come out, I'll probably follow them and try and figure out.
Yeah, the current rumor, sorry, just to interject real quick, the current rumor is that Apple's going to be holding another press conference sometime in October to announce the iPad mini and new iMacs and other devices. So maybe the iPad mini and the iPod Touch will come out at the same time, and they just announced it with the iPhones because otherwise people would like fly off the handle, because they've been waiting 2 years for a new iPod Touch.
Yeah, so I may end up, waiting to hear that and then having to decide between an iPad mini and an iPod Touch. I was a little surprised on the pricing. It did seem a little high, even though, I mean, it is obviously Apple and they usually charge a little bit of a premium, but yeah. It seems like with all the competitors right now, the Nexus 7 and those type of things, they are a little bit more aggressively priced than what Apple decided to go with. And, they're able to do that, and we'll see how that works for them. But,
yeah, exactly.
Just interesting.
And the good thing is Apple has a month and a bit to look at the price and say, yeah, we screwed up. We're not going to have a $199 iPod Touch, which is the old one. We're going to have a 16 gig version of this new iPod, and it's going to be $199. Like, who knows what they're going to do? That would be really great if they did it, because I'd love to buy one, but not for $299, I don't think. Also announced, not game related because you can't play anything on them, is a new iPod Nano, which looks like an iPod Touch mini. Like, it's a smaller version of the iPod Touch, which is kind of neat. It has Bluetooth built in. So people that are runners or have in-car like stereo systems, or they have a Bluetooth H2DPA or something. Is that the Bluetooth audio stereo thing? That will be, I whatever it's called, but that will be supported as well. So new iPod and Nanos start at $149, which is pretty cool. And I think that's it for new announcements. They announced a few things. I guess biggest is the iPhone. The iPod Touch is right up there. And they kind of targeted the iPod Touch as kind of the gamer device, which is kind of funny. They had EA come up and show off Real Racing 2 or Real Racing 3 rather, which looked like stupidly, unbelievably awesome. Like it looked as good as Gran Turismo, which is I don't understand how that's even possible on a portable device. And they showed off, what was it called? Like Clumsy Ninja is what it was called. Was that it?
Ninja.
Yeah, which is just like this virtual pet game with a ninja that will actually learn. And it's like, I don't know, that's bizarre. But anyway, they're showing off that the iPod Touch is the gamer's device. So I guess they're targeting it at kids or a younger market that doesn't really have an iPhone, which is pretty cool. I mean, it makes sense that they're going to target that market. Although $299 is a little bit expensive to target kids. I mean, if my kids asked for a $300 device for birthday, I would just laugh at them. But they are 5 and 6, so maybe that's going to change when they're a little bit older. We'll see.
Well, good. I think that we've talked about new iPhones and new Apple announcements. Shall we move on?
Yeah, why don't you talk about the next thing, because you're really big on this.
I'm not sure if really big on it is right.
Oh, you are. Come on.
So, I mean, there's nothing better than mechs. I mean, it's one of my favorite franchises, Mechwarrior, all those. And come to find out, Mechwarrior Tactical Command is actually being brought out, and it's really soon. So it's the 27th. So in 2 weeks, you will be able to play Mechwarrior Tactical Command, which appears to be a little bit of the board game version adopted for iOS. Like, if you look at the graphics, it doesn't look particularly good, but I'll probably still be getting it and playing it. And it's done by Persone Studios. So yeah, I mean, I will be playing and watching for it, and I will probably let you know what I think of it. So
awesome. Can't wait to hear about it, Jared, because I like mechs too. It's the universal thing that everybody loves is mechs. Moving on. This is actually kind of cool. It was just announced this week. I saw an article over at Touch Arcade that a game called Revolt will be coming to iOS. And the cool thing about this is it's a game that came out in 1999 on the PC, and I believe it was on the PlayStation 1. And it was basically, it was like Micro Machine racing, but in 3D, where you're basically running around tracks and things like that. I guess you're using an electric car, little mini electric car. But it's going to be coming into to iOS from a company called WeGo Interactive. They bought the license for it, and they're going to be releasing a game that is basically a new version of Revolt. So look into it. Tadai says it kicked butt on the Dreamcast, which I think that's maybe what I played it on. Maybe it wasn't the PlayStation 1. It might have been on the Dreamcast. But yeah, I loved the game. It was fun. It was just this great 3D racer, and really great. I really hope that this iOS version is just as good, since it's going to be like a re-envisioning. It's not like a port, from what I can tell. Maybe it's not going to be so good, but anyway, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and definitely pick this one up when it comes out. And it's going to be here before the end of the month. So if you have some fond memories of Revolt, you can play it too before the end of the month. You ever play that game, Jared? I know I'm a little bit older than you. Probably not, eh?
no, I grew up in a not Dreamcast household.
You were playing Pokemans and trading with your friends.
I grew up in a Nintendo household.
Cool. Well, let's talk about some other games, but let's talk about the music of the games. I picked this up earlier this week, and I love everything about it. It is called the iGame Music Bundle. It's pay what you want bundle, similar to like the indie game bundles that are out there. There's 6 days left in it, and if you spend at least $1, you get 5 great soundtracks to iOS games or portable games. You get the soundtrack to Horn, Squids 2, Puzzle Juice, Globulus, and Oregon Trail. But if you spend $10, if your minimum bid is $10, you get Aliens Incursion, Wive and Keep, Flight of the Angels, Mecha Wars HD, Polymer, Blast Smoky 2, Super Hexagon, the EP, which I bought this bundle at $10 just for this EP. I'm not ashamed to admit that because I love it. I'm going to actually play some of it right now. It is so good. Or I'll play the first one because you're going to hear this forever when you play Super Hexagon. This is all you're going to hear, and it's going to be like basically burnt into your brain. But I bought this music bundle based on just that EP. It's only 3 songs. Excuse me. You also get Super Stickman Golf. If you tweet about the bundle, you get Contingency, the soundtrack to Contingency. And if 419 more people buy this bundle, they're going to unlock the Happy Street soundtrack as well, which is pretty cool. So I'll stop that music. So 14 great soundtracks for $10 is a huge deal. I've been listening to the soundtracks all week at work. Actually, people are kind of pissed off at me for playing like chiptune and weird things at work. They wanted me to turn down my speakers earlier today, so I don't know if everybody's gonna love it, but I know if you're a gamer, you're gonna love this stuff. So check it out over at GameMusicBundle.com. I hope they do more of these because I really do love game soundtracks, but I'm very unlikely to spend $10 on a soundtrack for a game that I spent 99 cents for. But when you can spend $10 and get 15 of them, that's a pretty darn good deal. So check that one out. GameMusicBundle.com. All right, man. That's about it. What do you say we get into the reviews?
That sounds like it would be a good thing to do.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off with a review of a game called Super Hexagon. I've talked about it a little bit over the last couple of weeks. It's 99 cents on the App Store, and it is insanely addictive. So basically what Super Hexagon is you are in the middle of the screen, and you're this little triangle that is surrounded by surrounding a hexagon. You hit the left-hand side of the screen to rotate left. You hit the right-hand side of the screen to rotate right, and you have to avoid lines that are coming towards you. So that's it. That's the game. I had my wife try it today just to get another kind of sense of feeling on what her thoughts of the game were. And she's a person that gets she gets motion sickness, so she can't read in a car. I remember playing a game called N2O on the PlayStation, and if she would look at the screen for like more than 5 seconds, she'd want to vomit. She can't play first-person shooters. She gets really motion sick, so I knew she wasn't going to like this game. So I warned her that you're going to play this game, and as soon as it gets to past the 10-second mark, when things start rotating, you're going to want to puke. And she's like, no, I'll be fine. So she played it, and it took her about 5-10 minutes to get past, 5 seconds, because the game you die a lot until you kind of learn the patterns. And then she got to 10 seconds, and that's where things start rotating the opposite way of your rotations, and she had to turn off the game and actually go sit down in the dark. So if you're motion sick, do not get this game, I guess, is kind of the public service announcement I'm saying right here. But the game itself is crazy addictive. There's 3 modes, or I guess 3 difficulties in the game. I just want to make sure I know what they're called. I think they're called Hexagon. I'm going to die here. Go to stage select. It's called Hexagon, Hexagoner, and Hexagonist. So that's hard, harder, and hardest. Is the game. If you get 60 seconds in any of these modes, you unlock the I guess the hyper mode version of that stage. So I'll tell you right now, the game is really hard. I've been playing it for a week, pretty much like every day, multiple times. Oops, I gotta die here because I started a game by accident. My record for Hexagon is 62 seconds, or 62.53 seconds. My record for Hexagoner is 34.07, and Hexagonist is 6 seconds and 6.16 seconds. It is crazy difficult hard. But I finally did what I wanted to do. I made 60 seconds on Hexagon to unlock the hyper mode. Do you want to see what can you guess what my record is? I got 64 seconds. Was that what it was? Almost 63 seconds on Hexagon. Guess, Jared, what my record is for the hyper mode of Hexagon. Just
13 seconds.
What is that? 13?
Yeah.
Really close, actually. 11.22 is the highest I could get, and I've played it about 100 times. It is insane. So pretty much that's the game. You play, you rotate around the middle, and you die. I actually did better, almost beat my record by not touching the screen, because for some reason I got really lucky there. But yeah, that's basically it. You die, you start. you die, you start. The restart is almost like instantaneous, which is really cool. I'm going to turn it up a little bit so you can hear. There's a really great English voice when you die. And that's what you'll hear. You'll hear game over again, game over again, game over again. She says again when you start the game up again. And it was funny. I was playing this in the living room and my kids were there and they're like, Daddy, why did they keep making fun of you? And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, they keep saying it's game over again. Are they trying to make you mad? And I was like, well, no, but I could see where maybe they did, because this game is frustrating, break your device and throw it out the window kind of hard. But you'll get into a zone, like you put your headphones in and you almost get like synesthesia or whatever that's called, where your senses get kind of blurred between audio and visual, where your vision kind of locks in and you almost kind of go into like a trance or whatever. I have nothing bad to say about this game, even though it's a game where in your best run you're going to last 60 seconds. Actually, on some of the leaderboards, people have lasted like almost 200 seconds, which I don't know what kind of crazy Android robot brain they have. I don't know how I even got 60 seconds, to tell you the truth. But this game is so awesome. It's basically an old school arcade game, redone, made awesome. When you play the game and when you're listening to the music, the levels kind of pulsate to the music, so that also kind of I don't know, brings your senses in and allows you to kind of zone out a little bit while you're playing it. So my recommendation when you go buy this game, because I recommend you go buy it, play in a dark room with headphones in with the music cranked, and it's an experience like no other. It reminds me that I can't remember the name of the game, but it was the shooter that when you play music, the levels get designed around the music that you're listening to, but the visual effects were all crazy and everything like that. But yeah, this game is great. It's so simple, it can be explained to you in 3 seconds, but it's a game that you're going to play forever to master. I think the first day I didn't get past like 10 seconds, and then you start to learn the patterns, and then you can get to like 12 seconds, and then you play a little bit more and you can get to 20 seconds without dying, and you can get there all the time, and then you get a little bit better, you can get to 30 seconds, and then like things start getting crazy. You get different patterns, things rotate different ways, and then you work your way up to get to 60, and you get like a really huge sense of accomplishment when you do that. There's only 6 achievements in this game, and you get them by getting 60 seconds on any of the 6 modes. I've gotten 1 achievement, and I don't think I'll get any other ones on this. It is just too hard, but I'm having fun. I think I'm going to have this on my device forever. My only recommendation, or the only thing that I wish this game had that it doesn't currently have, is iCloud support. So if I'm playing on my phone, because it's a universal app, if I'm playing on my phone, my high score on my phone is different than my high score on my iPad. My high score on my iPad is a 60 plus seconds. On my iPhone, it isn't. It's a universal app, so it should be iCloud's enabled. Maybe that will be coming in a future patch, but yeah, this game is almost perfection. I love it. 5 out of 5. Go get it. If you don't mind the the odd urge to break your device in a million pieces and throw it out a window. So that's Super Hexagon.
2 things here.
Yeah.
So the game you were looking for is Beat Hazard Ultra.
That's the one. That game was so good. I got to get that back on my device.
And then the other thing, you know what would be really good for this game?
What?
An iPod Touch with the loop.
Yeah,
because that way when you throw it,
it comes back to you. It's like the boomerang device. You throw it, try to throw it against the wall, and it actually spins around your wrist and hits you in the face and knocks you out. That would be perfect.
Now you see why they added the loop.
Yes, it's for this game. They should have called it the Hexagon, not the loop. But I don't know. Maybe Apple's marketing didn't like Hexagon for some reason.
Maybe.
So there you go. Hexagon, Super Hexagon, 99 cents, 5 out of 5. It's something that everybody should have on their device, as long as you don't have motion sickness like my wife, because she deleted it after coming out of the dark room and the nausea passed. So if you're susceptible to that, you might want to steer clear. Otherwise, one of the best games I've played in a long time on the iOS devices. So Jared, your review.
All right, my review this week is one that I mentioned that I was playing last week. It's Supermagical, which is super magical. So Supermagical, you play as a clumsy witch, And this clumsy witch has 7 sisters who are also named after the seven deadly sins, right? The greed, lust, all those, right?
Hmm.
So I'm playing a little bit here. So
Do you have to
you know,
put the
these are
lotion on its skin?
no. So the game is a copy of Bust a Move. However, what happens is this clumsy wizard basically unlocks all these bad Minix guys, because that's what the bad guys that you play Bust a Move with are. And yeah, so you explore this little environment. You slowly get to go to new locales. It's kind of funny because apparently when you make this big error mistake, it creates it so that you also lose these warlocks that usually you would use to banish your sisters, because all the sisters are bad except for you. And yeah, so you try to free the different warlocks, and whenever you free a warlock, you can pick to take 2 warlocks into battle with you and then use their superpowers. So, one of them goes and destroys specific spots wherever you want, and another one will destroy a line, and another one just pushes back all the bad guys. So, I mean, just there's lots of different things that are going on that you can kind of strategize which ones you're going to want to take. Additionally, after you play the level, there's kind of like this find the money bag. After each level, you beat each level, there's 3 money bags somewhere in the world, and at first they're pretty close to you, but as you go on into the second and then the third world, they get much further away. So you start having to look over a huge portion of the map to find these money bags. So you kind of need to do that find the money bag game, because otherwise you don't have enough money to keep advancing. So it also has a 3-star system. The star system is 100% based on completion time. And I just didn't really want to keep going back and play for 3 stars. Like, I started off totally that, obsessive compulsive gamer that we are. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get 3 stars on them all. And then it quickly came to the point where I was like, no, I'm okay if I don't get 3 stars. And so you have to occasionally buy different things. Like, for example, you end up having to buy the parts to summon a dragon, and you have to buy keys at different shops. So after you beat a level, a shop will appear in that city, and lots of times there'll be things that'll help you, but then there'll also be occasionally these items that you have to buy to go on. And if you're not replaying levels, you really don't get enough cash to buy a lot of the things that will help you. You have to really focus on the things that'll help you move on. So there's almost like at the end, the levels get very, very difficult. And if you don't grind for that money or pay them a little real money for oh, excuse me, hiccup there. If you don't pay a little real money for money, then you have a tough time beating those levels, because it's just. And I guess that's not a bad thing. They're trying to get you to play their game more. I got very close to the end. I'm like 3 levels away from the end, and I can't beat this level. And I'm trying to decide right now if I'm going to go back and grind for the win. It's kind of funny because each of the sisters, when you get there, like, you think that there's going to be these like epic boss battles, and it's completely not. It's like conversations, and you have to figure out the right conversation to have with your sister so that she'll agree to go back to the underworld. And you have to think about what sister she is. She's envy, so you have to figure out how to appeal to her sense of envy, or just the same thing on all the different sisters. And then if you get it wrong, you have to play this, like, usually a pretty easy level, and then once you beat it, you go back to talking to the sister, and you have to say the right thing in order to get her to decide to go to the underworld.
Strange.
Yeah, so I don't know. That just feels a little weird, because it's like, hey, I feel like I should be having a big boss battle, but then it's like a conversation where it's, pick the right answer. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of like a good Bust-A-Move clone, it has a lot of RPG elements with you trying to get these power-ups and being able to play different strategies based on what warlocks you have out. You can collect ingredients to go and make things that will help you on your way. And I mean, it's a fun little game. Um, in terms of a Bust-A-Move clone for the iOS, this is probably one of the better ones that I've seen recently. So that's good. I remember there's been a few others like Linkzoids and different ones, but I like the progression on this one. Um, but I didn't really like the feeling that I had to grind in order to beat it or to pay them real money, and I didn't really. Um, I thought that it was just a little strange, like the boss battle type thing. So overall, I'm going to give this game a 4 out of 5. It is only 99 cents. So if you are, a fan of Bust a Move or that type of genre where you're trying to match three, and this one actually they push right to left, whereas Bust a Move was always top down type things, and you make those three. Sometimes if you're able to get lucky and match them high up, you're able to make other ones just fall off because they're not attached to the base, which is how you have to work or else you end up losing. So yeah, it's a 4 out of 5 game. It's definitely interesting, and if you like Bust a Move, this is probably a very good version of Bust a Move to have on your portable iOS device.
Cool. I'll have to check that out because I do like Bust a Move. I might have
Good.
to check it out. All right, man. Thanks for that one. What did you give it? Sorry,
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. I gotta get that in the show notes so I remember. All right, moving on. Let's get into my second review. I'm gonna do a review of VS Racing 2, which is 99 cents on the App Store, and it's a sequel, obviously, to VS Racing or Versus Racing, depending on what you want to call it. And it's a top-down racer. It looks like you're driving little toy cars, so much so that it even kind of has like a I don't know, it has almost like a tilt shift kind of look to it where things look like hyper detailed even though they look kind of toy-like. Pretty interesting. The game itself has a pile of levels. Right now it has 2 worlds of 18 levels plus a secret world, which is called the secret world. And the way that you unlock the races in the secret world is to find these glowing gold bars inside other levels. So you actually have to like steer off the course to pick up these gold bars and then go back and play it. So the game itself is actually pretty easy, or pretty easy to progress in when you play through tropical or jungle and do it. You'll probably get in first or second in most of the races without really trying until you get to some of the later levels. And what the game's introduced is an upgrade mechanism. So you get money for every course that you play, and as you play the course, you use that money to then upgrade your car. Currently, I believe there's 3 cars. I'm just going to double check to be sure. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And then a couple other ones that are all coming soon. One interesting thing is when you play a level, the first world, you can really only play with the first car if you want to get 3 stars. So sorry, each of the levels have 1 to 3 stars. You get 1 star by coming in first, second, or third. You get 2 stars by coming in first with a certain time, and you get 3 stars by beating a certain time to get the 3rd star if you come in first. But if you use a higher rated car on the earlier courses, the most you can ever get is 2 stars, which kind of I don't know, it was kind of strange because of some of the levels seem almost impossible to beat with the entry level car if you want to get 3 stars. And that's pretty much it. You're playing through the levels. You're racing against 1 to 4 other cars. You can basically get into drifts, unlock achievements and things like that. There's an achievement system where how far you or how long you can hold a drift. For example, if you do it like 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters, you unlock and you get gold and things like that. And that's pretty much it. The game is really simple, but it's actually quite addictive if you want to get 3 stars. A lot of the worlds, I mean, almost all the races are over in about a minute, if depending, even if it's like 3 laps. Like it's a pretty quick game. The one thing that was kind of odd with this game is, as I said, you're top down and physics based, and it looks almost like you're driving toys. But sometimes you'll be going around a corner and someone will cut you off, and you'll slide into him sideways so that he like hits the side of the course, and then for some reason, I guess the physics are so strange that the guy will just like burst out in front of you. I guess his momentum from hitting the side gets added to his speed, and then he bursts out ahead of you. That only happens to enemies though. It doesn't happen to you. So someone like cuts you off and pushes you into the side, you just slow down. So it almost makes it harder. Well, obviously it does make it harder, but it almost makes it unfair in some of the levels because people will cut you off like crazy. You'll be fighting against 3 other cars that are all cutting you off, and then you'll come around a corner, tap one, it'll hit the side and then burst out in front of you, and then you're kind of screwed. There's no I don't know, there's no sort of power-ups or anything unless you're playing in the secret level. So in the secret levels, there's little items that drop onto the world. You pick them up, and there's things like oil slicks or missiles or boosts that you can pick up. So that's kind of fun as kind of a different taste to the game as you're playing it. But the main mode, as I said, only has 2 worlds with 18 levels each. But the developers are promising a pile of content updates. I'm going to count the number of cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. I thought there were 6. So there's 6 cars that are coming soon. So it sounds to me like they're probably going to have another 2 or another 3 level packs of 2 levels coming out. Maybe that's what they've planned for. Of course, when you're looking at the level select, it shows Tropical, which is the first world, Jungle, which is the second world, and then it has Dirt, and it says tap to inspire the developers, and it takes you to the iTunes rating page. So maybe they're thinking that in the future there will be stuff coming out, but for right now there's only 36 worlds, or 36 tracks rather, and then all the secret tracks. So it's pretty fun for 99 cents. I mean, you're getting a fair bit of content for all that, and I hope that the planned content that they want to release does actually come out, because the game would be a lot more fun with a lot more tracks and a lot more cars to play with. So anyway, Versus Racing 2 for $1, it's a really fun top-down racer, probably one of the best ones that I played in a long time. As I said, the graphics are almost photorealistic in some areas, which is pretty cool. Some of the levels have cliffs, so you can actually push guys off cliffs, which is always fun. Or you can get pushed off, which isn't fun. There's achievements based around that, which is great. So it's a really fun game for $1. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, just because sometimes the controls are a little bit wanky, and sometimes I guess the physics, as I said, like you'll hit a guy, he'll hit a side, and then instead of slowing down, he bursts out in front of you. Kind of unfair. I don't know. The AI seems really aggressive at times, so it's almost impossible not to do that and make them speed out in front of you. So hopefully that gets patched in a future release. But as of right now, the wonky controls are okay. They're not terrible. They're definitely usable, and it is a fun top-down racer. So check it out, Versus Racing 2 on the App Store for $1. All right, Jared, what do you say? That's about it.
Sounds good.
You have anything else to add? Any other apps that you were playing while I was talking that you want to review now?
No, I was totally playing Supermagical to try and grind out that last thing so I can go beat it.
Okay, cool. Let me know how that goes.
It's also big. It's like 500 meg. Like
for a
strange.
match 3 bubble shooter, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, I've been paying a lot more attention recently to space, and so it'll go and list your top 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I check that out, and sometimes that's actually one of the reasons I picked up Galaxy on Fire, is because it was in my top 10 size apps. So
you want to play
really
and beat
bad.
it so you can delete it, is what you're getting at.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially with Supermagical.
That's
I'm
cool.
done.
I hear that. I do that sometimes too. I mean, I have a 16 gig iPad, and it fills up all the time now. I wish I would have bought a bigger one, to tell you the truth. But I didn't, so I'll have to live with it for the next generation. And
All right.
get the new iPad, or the new iPad. I don't know what they're going to call it down the road. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for listening to the show. We want to hear from you. Head on over to vgpodcast.com and click contact us at the top of the page to send us an email. You can email us directly at vgpodcast@gmail.com, or call our voicemail line, which is area code 505-VGPodcast. If you have any favorite games you want us to review, let us know. Shoot us a quick email, or head on over to the VG Podcast forums and join in the chats there. It's pretty active from time to time. time, and we definitely would love more people joining that. That's over at vgpodcast.com/forums. So let us know what you want us to cover on future episodes of the show, or if you're really eager for some more iOS pulses, let us know, and maybe we'll see what we can do about that. All right, man. Thanks, Jared, for joining me.
Yep, we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we will. Jared will not be here next week, but we'll have a blast from the past filling in instead of Jared. So I'm not mad at him, and I didn't kick him off the show. So even though we joked about that at the start, but maybe I did, and you guys will never know. Maybe Jared will never be on the show again, although he will in 2 weeks. All right, Jared, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks, man.
All right, have a good one.
All right, guys, take it easy. We'll talk to you next week. Later, guys.